What is going on, you awesome creatives, and welcome back to the second video in this series where I am building a internal courtyard house. So yeah, today we're kind of looking at the louvered wall system. So you would have seen me just there import a CAD reference from a supplier just to get the basic overall profile, which is then being duplicated up to the top to kind of create both sides, and then placing the glass panel in between. From here I'm going to placing it along the wall that I want, and I can start building out the framework for the louvered wall system. So as you may have seen, these kind of videos are named after, named 3126 Ruffin. Not sure why, but lately, just in order to keep my file management and ease of use to find the different projects, I started naming them after streets from my hometown. So Ruffin, Mackenzie, Harry's, they're all pretty big or main streets from my hometown, and it's just my way of kind of giving a homage to where I'm from, I suppose. That, and it keeps it easy, and I know exactly what projects I'm kind of talking about. So you can see here I'm kind of duplicating out along the wall system there. I've noticed that it's kind of too short, so I've had to come back in and jump up to the next size from the manufacturer from the width of my louvered wall system for each of these panels. And I've started building up a little bit of the subframe as well. So it's pretty easy, guys. You can basically create a spline for the outer profiles of the glazing units, duplicate those, and then the actual frame itself has been created through just a box which I've converted into an edible poly, and then through that you can connect a couple of the edges and extrude those up, and then I have created a chamfer around the whole entire lot of it. Just to give a, well, obviously in the real world there is no straight or 90-degree edges, kind of like you do get in CAD programs and whatnot. So in order to kind of simulate that chamfer that you find in the real world, I usually put about a 5mm or a 3mm chamfer on most of my objects. So it took a little bit of work to get the spacing correct for the louvered windows, because I think I wanted 14 or 16 different louvered panels, because that was due to the manufacturer's specs. And from here I'm kind of starting to have a look at the fixed panel at the top, and this is just a very basic couple boxes, I believe it was, that I've then attached to each other. So although there's still a space between them, by creating them or attaching them together after converting them to an edible poly. And from here, guys, now that we've kind of got the rotation of the one system all sorted, naming it to make sure we keep our proper conventions, and then I can kind of duplicate this in, out and along the wall, and make sure it aligns up with that. So you'll see me zoom in here using my snap tools, grab those four and snap them down into the edge, and you'll notice that little chamfer that I've got on the tools too. Playing with that because it's a lot easier to get your snaps correctly when your chamfers are turned off. So yeah, that's all the louvered walls kind of done, except for the spacing, which we're kind of building up now. So that's just a very simple box, which we kind of come in. I can't remember if I inset this just to give it an additional little bit of detail. No, it looks like I just placed a chamfer on it. So very simple. So now with that wall done, guys, we can move on to the other windows. So this louvered system was kind of intended to be a little bit separate from the other full louvered wall, just kind of as a breezeway connecting the two different pavilions of the residence. So you can see here that I've just had to kind of adjust the wall a little bit and kind of bring them in to kind of conform a little bit nicer. I think I ended up making a few little modifications here as well to the actual window system. I didn't go on the manufacturer's specs for this. I kind of got sick of dealing with how accurate it was going to be, and with the precision of it all. So I've started to kind of just dodge it a little bit and make it as close as I can, but still working rather quickly. With it being a personal project, it didn't really matter if it was slightly off the specs from the manufacturing sheet. At the end of the day, it just depends on how much detail you guys really want to put into your projects. For me, the full-blown realism, although I'm trying to achieve that, it doesn't matter if it's off or if the windows are off by a few mil here or there. So yeah, from here, I think we're just kind of building it up, scaling things up, making sure everything suits and fits quite nicely. So guys, as I'm working here, I'm making sure that I'm keeping my layers over on the left hand side all organised, making sure I'm keeping the certain things that I need to in groups. If I do need to edit those groups, I can go into groups in your menu bar up in the top left hand corner and just kind of open the group. Don't ungroup it because then they'll kind of explode all the elements, but if you just open that group, you can kind of still edit within that group without affecting it. So from here you see that I've kind of duplicated over the other side of that breezeway, and now I'm placing it into the main pavilion, into the living pavilion as well. So that's pretty much all the louvered windows taken care of, and now it's kind of moving on to all the fixed windows from around the house. Again, because I'm trying to do a fair bit of detail on these, whether I put it into Unity or whatnot, I'm trying to give it as much detail as possible. So you'll see here I'm putting in window sills, window lintels, and you'll notice I'm putting in a few little detail pieces above the windows as well. So this is all based off reference images that I did in the initial planning stage of this project. So again guys, this is extremely easy. You can basically create one element and then just clone it or instance it to a whole bunch of others. You'll notice that I've had to make a couple of them unique due to the different sizes of fixed windows, but that's easy enough. So even if you do accidentally clone one and then you need to make it unique, over in your right hand side you've got a little arrow with the make unique option. Very easy. So as we kind of come through and finish all of these up, you'll notice I'm still having that wireframe issue. Unfortunately by now I haven't actually decided or worked out how to fix it. Like I did mention in the last video, I did eventually find a Google search, and basically if you kind of go into your viewport properties, you can adjust that. So anyone else who's having that issue, whether they're using a Radeon graphics card, I notice 3ds Max doesn't really like Radeon graphics card. If you can, go with an NVIDIA graphic card, because Autodesk works really well with those. Alright guys, as we begin to wrap up the window frames and sills, or I should say the window lintels and sills, you'll see me here starting to move on to the window frame. So just kind of getting a measurement using the tape tool, and then from here you can see I've kind of mapped out a spline of how I kind of want the window frame to look, and then using a sweep modifier tool you can kind of use that profile to create a sweep and the window frame. Very easy to do. However, if you're looking at doing more of a detailed piece, there's a couple of extra things that you can do in the corners to actually make it seem like it is aluminium or you know, your steel kind of joining together to form your window frame. I'm going to kind of cover that in another video because it's a little bit tricky to do in a condensed tutorial. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks when I start to kind of release a video both on Railcline that you guys saw last week and on how to create window frames. So you can see there guys, that's where I'm starting to kind of create a little bit of detailing in the window frames in each of the corners. But yeah, we'll cover that in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that one. So as I start playing with the glazing and then continue to do what you guys have seen me doing all video, multiplying and instancing each of these or cloning them to where they're needed, and then manipulating as they needed, I want to kind of hear from you guys down in the comments down below guys as to whether you guys prefer these condensed tutorials where I walk you through the steps that I've used to create these images, or whether you prefer more in-depth tutorials, maybe the 10, 15, 20 minute long, depending on how in-depth we go, or whether you'd prefer to just see a time lapse of the entire building being built up. Let me know down in the comments down below guys, because I'd love to hear from you guys and tailor these videos as to what you guys would prefer. But anyway, I'm going to let this video play out. I will see you guys on the next tutorial.